see you all get the message. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Alex Grace. Good evening, everyone. My name's Asif Qureshi. I am the Research Director at Cage International. It's my honor and privilege to be with you tonight. To introduce this wonderful, every single time has made me laugh every single time. And I think the most wonderful aspect of this film is how it captures our movement. This room, this hall, and every single person that's connected to us that couldn't be here today, how it captures the beauty of everything and everyone that came together for this moment in particular. I'd like to introduce our panel. Most of whom require no introduction whatsoever, but I'll still do it anyway. To my immediate left is Jordan Devlin, who is one of the acquitted. Going towards the left then, Zoe Rogers, once also. Questions today, by the way. It's just going to be like this. So. Kamio, the mother. Sukaina Rajwani, the mother of Fatima. And last but not least, our director, Alex Grace, who has. I think it needs to be said how difficult this moment has been for Alex to get together. I'm going to ask some questions about that in a moment. You know, the reality is that this judge tried very, 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 very hard to ensure that we cannot speak about this case, that we cannot speak about the different elements of this case, that at all times, in all ways, he tried to shut down any meaningful conversation within this trial about how Elbit Systems is directly responsible, how this UK government is directly responsible for the ongoing genocide. And really, we have so much to thank our 24 for, because what they have done at all times is try and subvert those judges' orders. They have turned the trial into a means by which we can speak about these unspeakable things. So no matter how hard he tried, they found ways of counteracting his orders, of ensuring that they could speak the truth of Palestinians. And so I want to do a quick round of applause for the four who still remain inside. That's Sam, Ellie, Fatima, Zainab, and Lottie. They deserve our love. Yourselves, you're going to have to ask a few questions so we can get to you as well, because we only have until 8, I'm afraid. Alex, I'm going to start with you, please. You spent a great deal of time, almost like a fly on the wall of this movement, documenting the different protests, documenting the families, the acquitteds themselves. Like you've been there, you've been part of this journey, but you also kind of have to be a little bit distant. How was it for you trying to document something that you care so deeply about, and also having to navigate these restrictions, especially because, of course, Palestine Action is a prescribed organization. So can you give us some insights into that, please?
Yeah, I guess when I started making this film, not many people really knew that I was making it. So I guess I got introduced to the family members and that was early last year, so it was before Palestine Action became a prescribed group. So initially I was just making a film about the journey of the family members and the Filton case. And then obviously a lot of stuff happened that summer. We had the Bryce Norton thing, and then Palestine Action got prescribed. So it just kind of blew up, and yeah, I guess at times it felt a bit tricky in how to navigate, not just for me, I think, but also for the family members when we were kind of doing interviews and speaking, like how you could speak about things without, you know, getting into trouble, I guess.
Now, thank you for that. Zoe, I want to come to you because, you know, to talk about the actual, you know, being involved in direct action. You know, the first time you and I met was in prison. And actually, I remember Claire messaging me saying, you know, Zoe's quite shy, so if you don't mind, I'm going to accompany you on this first visit, because, you know, Zoe's a little bit shy to meet you. And I remember just sitting there at Bronzefield thinking to myself, I don't get it. This young woman who's like under half my age is so shy that, you know, almost she requires a chaperone on the first meeting with me, but is willing to kind of go into a weapons factory and, you know, smash up these drones and these quadcopters. So I was having this kind of like whole conversation in my own head about like the dissonance between these two things. Tell us about how you managed to get over that in your own mind, because, you know, I think you yourself professed a little bit shy in certain circumstances, but you did unbelievable courage.
Well, I knew it was something I had to do. It didn't feel like I had any choice. I was watching a genocide, and I knew that direct action was effective and necessary to stop the supply of weapons, because when the government fails to uphold international law, it's the duty of the people to do it. And I mean, I had doubts. I was anxious and shy. I had an ankle injury. But there's a lot of people that take direct action that I kind of drew from. I've seen elderly people do it, disabled people, even people in wheelchairs. And I think that's the beauty of direct action. It's something that anyone can do. But it did change me. I was very, very shy before this started. I could never have imagined myself being somewhere, well, here. Something that doesn't get talked about direct action very often is that it's actually incredibly empowering. And also the experience of being in prison as well has changed me in ways I didn't know I needed to change in. So, yeah.
Jordan, I mean, I guess the same question really applies to you, you know, which is, you know, people are constantly telling us in different parts of the movement that there are other ways of protesting, right? Like, you and I both hear this a lot. There are other ways of doing things, you know, there are ways that are less contentious. How do you square in your own mind about how you get to the point of direct action being the thing that is necessary at this moment, at this time?
I think ultimately you have to put it down to realizing we're in an emergency situation. I think all of these other things are great and they should be heightened. You know, all of the politics should be really reinforced, and I support that. But we are in, you know, we're in a time in British history where we're supporting an act of genocide by supplying them weapons, and we can't really wait for a couple of weeks or a couple of months to get on with things. We have to act today and yesterday. So it was actually kind of easy for me to come to that conclusion eventually, where I was watching all of this unfolding in Gaza, and it was sort of having a toll on my body. My brain could not compute this level of atrocity. You know, the human mind isn't built for that. So I took it into sort of psychosomatic pain it was keeping me up at night. I was running myself out of the job. I had to take time off work and stuff. And eventually it just became self-preservation. I knew I had to take direct action because I knew it was effective. And like Zoe said, you know, having lived with that sense of powerlessness for such a long time, it's very easy to get lost in that, but I realized I can take that power back. So I did.
And we're very grateful to you for Sukaina Baji, I've got a chance to get to know your wonderful family, and it's been really inspiring for me on a very, very personal level, because, you know, we share a faith of Islam together. And, you know, when I think about you, and I think about, you know, what it means, we're a similar age to one another, our children are similar ages as well, and I really look up to your parenting a great deal. When I look at your kids, and I think about how I want to raise my own, you know, I'm now looking at you as an example for that. Because what I see is that you established a baseline for how your children should be in the world in terms of living an ethical life, one that centers humanity, but also centers your faith as well. I wanted to ask you about how your relationship with your own faith and your own spirituality has maybe changed or evolved since Fatima Zainab's arrest. Like, what was the journey that you've been on in relation to that?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. One of the central themes in Islam is our strong belief of justice being established in society at all levels. And this is for everything else to fall into place. And it is our combined duty as human beings, whether of faith or of no faith, to work towards establishing this justice. I have become more aware of this responsibility ever since the genocide in Gaza started in October 2023. And whilst I am a practicing Muslim, I would not say that I'm super religious, but I did used to have preconceived ideas about faith and worship. And I had limited religion to rituals. However, my journey over the past 2 years has taught me so much. It's changed my perception. Worship for me now, it translates more than in praying and fasting and giving charity and so forth. It actually translates into action. Action where I see myself campaigning for Fatima Zainab, for the Filton 25 as it now stands, for advocating for Palestine, as I am sitting here doing right now. And this is for me a true manifestation of faith and worship, besides praying, fasting, giving charity, and everything else that we do as part of our Islamic lives. And we're consciously raising awareness of the injustices around the world matter as much as the acts of worship. After 2 years of campaigning for Fatima Zainab, I have learned to place my trust in Allah with more and more conviction, realizing that He is the best of planners and the best disposer of affairs. And this continues to give me strength and comfort to be resilient.
Emma, we see in the film, you know, the kind of the ugly face of counterterrorism, and the way in which it particularly applied to you. And what's so amazing, and I think some of the loudest laughs in the room were really when you were speaking to camera, is with the grace and dignity that you hold in yourself whenever you're met with all of these things. And actually we see that with Ellie. Like, I didn't get a chance to meet Ellie or to interact with her very much up until after she was released, but even the 3 months that I was following her social media, she really lived life in those 3 months, and it was really beautiful to watch her enjoying herself, or really like grabbing hold of life with 2 hands. And I guess I wanted to ask you about your coping throughout this entire period, because it was extremely violent when it entered your life, and somehow, yeah, you kind of thread this path of dignity with such unbelievable grace. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think it comes from my mother. Quick backstory, she was diagnosed with cancer and given 6 months to live. And I was with her oncologist when he called her a silly woman because she refused treatment. She was deeply spiritual, and she said to them, you're entitled to your opinion, and I've got mine. And if it's my time, it's my time, and that's okay with me. But I don't believe it's my time. And she went on to live a further 5 years. She was cured of her cancer by the end of it. It was the passing of my older sister that actually created my mother's heart to break out in clots, and she had a stroke and died later on. But growing up, so that was, to witness that was incredible, her faith, and to believe that it's so similar. It might not be Allah, but it's so similar to what Sukaina has just said. Another part of that I witnessed growing up with my mother, we had a patch of grass outside that we all played on as kids, and a developer bought it, and he was going to build 5 bungalows on it, and it was where we all played as kids out in the street. I was one of 6 children, and the diggers turned up and started digging up the land, and she just walked out of the house, walked down the steps, and laid in front of the diggers with the most incredible dignity. It's got to be 30 odd years later, that patch of grass is still there. There are 2 mounds that weren't there before, which is where the diggers started digging and grew grass, but she won. So, it took me a very long time to learn how to meditate, because I've got ADHD and I'm dyslexic, and so I struggle with academia. I'm a doer, not a writer or a speaker. But the minute that I was arrested and put in the back of that van, I sat and I went straight into meditation. And for the following 5 days, I'm also a Pilates instructor, and all I did in that cell, when they weren't interviewing me, when they weren't watching me shower, when they weren't, whatever they were doing, it's all I did was meditate and practice Pilates. And I think it was my own little way of defiance, because you were being watched. There were cameras on you the entire time, with those orange lights even in the night. And because I'm a visual learner and a kinesthetic learner, so I don't get my info from words and books, but I think there's nothing more powerful than them watching me from their control panel. I'm nearly 60, and 2 years ago when this happened, I could jump over most 60-year-old as a Pilates instructor. I mean, it's all gone south now because I have been fighting for my life for the last 2 years. But I was asked for some outside time, and the guy said, I went out thinking I might get a patch of grass, but it was a piece of concrete and 4 brick walls. And I thought when I got there, well, there's not much I can do, so I'll keep doing Pilates. And he looked at me and he said, we've been watching you, what are you doing? And I said, Pilates, mate. And I was aware in my cell, I was a little bit showing off, doing the most extreme moves that you can do in Pilates. Because on the one hand, it was like, oh, she's a bit, what's she doing there? And then when I was meditating, I think there's nothing more powerful than watching somebody who's supposed to be scared shitless, because that's their aim, isn't it? I'm sure I was only ever arrested to frighten Ali. Was to see me sitting so calmly. I mean, I'm like a duck, I'm great in a crisis. I'm really calm on the surface, but I'm paddling like shit underneath. And when I was meditating, I thought, all you're watching me do is be physically strong and incredibly zen.
No one will know this really, but this is your first film that you've taken. And you took this on by yourself, right? Like no major backing. You kind of just steamrolled into this, knowing that you wanted to make this film, but with a lot of challenges in the way. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think it seems, for those of us who were connected to you throughout this process, that it was love that was driving you to get this over the line. Why this project in in particular?
I mean, I think like everybody else, I was really impacted by the genocide in Gaza, and it just felt to me towards the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 that I couldn't just continue with life as normal while this was going on. You know, so I started to attend demos and do more. And I think when the Filton activists got arrested, for me it just felt like that could be any of us who felt like we wanted to do that, because I mean, like, who in this room doesn't want to break into an Israeli weapons factory and smash up those weapons? And if you don't want to, why don't you want to? You know? So it just felt like, you know, watching what was happening to them, and also just seeing how young some of them were and that they were in prison, it just felt so wrong. And obviously, you know, when I met the family members and heard more about the case and the counter-terror raids and everything that went on. Well, it's all in the film, so I don't need to really talk much about it. But yeah, I just really felt like it was just so important that people knew this story, I think.
Thank you. Jordan, we get to see your sister, Brogan, a few times in the film, and Brogan's hilarious. During the weeks on wait after trial one of the verdict coming out, like we'd all be meeting on a regular basis, almost daily basis, and she'd be there, you know, saying, well, you know, like, I'm supposed to move to Australia and I just keep on delaying my ticket. And every time I'd see it, she'd be like, yeah, no, I delayed it again, to the point where she just cancelled her trip entirely. And she was like, the day that he's released, I'm gonna give him a hug, I'm gonna spend one night with him, I'm on the flight the next day. But, you know, but the thing is that she wouldn't leave. You know, she had this whole new life planned out for herself. What did it mean to you, knowing that you had a sister so fearlessly being there for you while you were on the inside?
I think Brogan's my hero, and all of the people that surrounded me with just so much love. It made the whole prison experience really easy, because whenever you're in there and you see people who don't have any form of a support network, you see there's a kind of chasm between what it could be like, you know, at its worst. And it's actually Brogan's birthday today, so if I count to three and we all say happy birthday, Brogan, that would be really nice. So 1, 2, 3. So appreciate that. She is in Australia now, so it is their winter. And yeah, as you were saying, literally the day after I got out of prison, you know, got all of my stuff back from Belmarsh, the hellhole, and she got me on a flight and then booked her ticket to go to Australia the next day. Absolutely dying to go. But it's quite funny because we were squabbling siblings growing up, and to get over that, and then you really learn a sense of what family means. You know, it is being there for each other, and you know, I guess I'm in awe of how much she was fighting for me. Because I think whenever I was gearing up for this, I was prepared to go it alone, and you know, it is almost difficult to accept this level of dedication and love, and you metamorphise as a person whenever you realise that, you know, there's these people there for you, and it's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So, there's a family that we have, and you have Claire and Fionn here today with you, shout out to them. But there's a family that we make as well, and while you were in Bronzefield, you and Fatima Zainab were particularly close to one another. I went to visit Fatima Zainab a week ago, and of course, she's now awaiting her sentence, and she was telling me about how meaningful your relationship in particular was, how much you were there for one another, and the first time round you were in prison together. And that still, while you're on the outside and she's on the inside, that you're still kind of like connected, you're writing poetry together, and she gave me a rendition of one of your joint poems. It's really amazing. But it must be hard in so many ways for you, so can you tell us a little bit about your feelings in this moment?
Yeah, so when we got the verdicts, I basically just sobbed. I think I cried more than anyone else in the initial moment, even though I'd been acquitted, because I knew what that conviction meant, which is that it's very, very likely that the judge is going to apply a terrorism connection to these 4 incredible people. And to talk a little bit about what that means, they'll spend years in prison. They'll be forced to face a parole board to be released after a couple of years, where they'll be expected to denounce their views that Palestinians deserve to live and that direct action is justified. And then they'll be, on eventual release, monitored by the state for decades. And that will look like declaring every relationship, every address, every bank account. Fatima Zainab will have to go to a mosque that's been picked out by the police, where they don't know anyone, and where they're not allowed to talk to anyone at all. And if any of them make a single mistake, they could be sent back to prison for another 5 years. Yeah. But it doesn't just affect these 4 people, because it sets a precedent where if anyone takes direct action for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be Palestine, it could be anything, they could be sentenced as a terrorist. And I mean, it signifies, not to be dramatic, but it signifies the end of rule of law and the collapse of democracy in this country. So it is terrifying. Especially during trials.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I don't want to hog all of the questions. So Emma and Sukaina, what I want you guys to think about is your relationships as mothers to, Fatima Zainab and Ellie, and what drives you to take further actions. Emma, we see you in Egypt, we see you outside Parliament, Sukaina Rajwani, we see you everywhere for Fatima Zainab. So as I open the floor to questions, maybe you can incorporate that into some of your answers as we have questions from others. Alex, I know that you want to share a statement before I open the Q&A from our dear friend Mohammed in Gaza. So please take it away.
Yeah, I do. So Mohammed Abu Salama, who worked with me on this film and provided all the footage from Gaza, he's just wrote a little thing that I asked him if he wanted to share anything. So I'm just going to read that out now. Hello, my friends. Hello, Filton activists, or rather, hello, heroic Filton activists, because you truly are heroes. You have managed to leave a beautiful mark on the Palestinian cause, a mark that Palestine and the Palestinian people will never easily forget. You are heroes in every sense of the word, without any exaggeration or flattery. This is journalist Mohammed Abu Salama from the Gaza Strip, a place that has witnessed one of the most horrific genocides in modern history. This is a place that continues to lose lives every single day and is still suffering from further casualties. Unfortunately, the occupation has managed to destroy Gaza in every sense of the word, showing no mercy to children, women, men, or the elderly, and even not sparing the animals that lived in the streets of Gaza. Unfortunately, there is so much I have seen with my own eyes that is very difficult to speak about. There are no words that can truly describe what we have witnessed during this genocide, and sadly, we are still seeing it even at this very moment. To be honest, speaking about Gaza is very long and heavy, but I do not want to darken your mood on such a day. What I want to say is that I thank all Filton activists please know that we have been following you in Gaza, not only as journalists, but also as civilians. We see your activities, we deeply understand your struggle for Palestine, and we know very well what you have given for it. We are very sorry, I swear to you, deeply sorry for your arrest because of Palestine. But please be certain that Palestine and the people of Gaza will never forget this. Thank you for your efforts in every place, at every time, and in every moment. Freedom for Palestine and freedom for all souls living in Palestine.
Okay, so I'm going to try and take batches of 3 questions, and then we'll go to a second round, and we'll try and get as many can. Please do try to keep it to questions, please, because we want to hear from our wonderful panel. So it's very difficult for me to see because the lights are so bright. Okay, we have one question here. I can see one hand. Any others? There's another one up there. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing whoever And we've got one back there. Okay, fine. So those will be our first 3. So the first one was just down here.
I've got the mic.
Oh, somebody else has the mic. Okay, I can't see. Okay.
Can you hear
By
me?
all means.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wonder if all of us here, if you think it would be a good idea for all of us here to try and get our unions to mobilize all their members to refuse to cooperate with war crimes. The railwaymen, the dockers, the journalists, and everybody else. Is that something we could all be doing?
Please do. I think we have to look at this as a combined skill set across the UK. There's so many different things that we can do. Like I'm not a union organizer. I've been in a union, but it's a great idea that we all pull our different resources to achieve the end goal of shutting Elbit down and shutting all of these horrible companies down across the UK. We can't just do it with one method. We have to show a unified front and everything that you can do.
Sorry, we'll try and take that question again from our sister over here.
Hi. Can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Oh.
I just want. Oh, sorry. Is it someone else?
No, it's fine. Okay, you can go. We'll go to you then third. It's
yeah,
okay.
just quickly. Thank you all and your families. Thank you to the Genesis for holding this film. My question is directly to Alex. This is an incredibly powerful film which should be shown everywhere. Do you fear it will be boycotted?
I don't know. Do you think it will be? What do you think? I mean, you know, I was very careful with it, really. I mean, I kind of walked a line a little bit, but I had a lawyer look at it. I mean, it shouldn't be. What do you think?
Hi. Sorry, I was just jotting some things down because I'm not direct speaker, so I'm just going to take a moment. Okay, hello. I was asked by one of the Filton 24 how the movement was outside. Please no pictures, I'm sorry. My response was, I was asked by one of the Filton 24 that were incarcerated how the movement was on the outside, and my response was that we let them down. Honestly speaking, Filton 24 now 25 put their bodies on the line to minimize weapons going to the Zionist entity. They did their part, they sacrificed, and are currently paying the price. And when do we join them? When do we sacrifice something to show this state that we, the workers, truly hold the power? Our very labour holds the British state up, and that includes armed cells that's decimating Gaza as we speak. I think it's high time we do our part and build a powerful workers' movement to withhold our labour and build a strong labour movement in conjunction with direct action. This is also a sentiment that Bisan from Gaza, who's facing a genocide, has asked us to do on multiple occasions. to build towards a general strike with the demands that could materially support the Filton 25 and Palestine. To echo Sukaina, it should not be business as usual. So do you think this is a possibility, and do you think it's something we should work towards?
I would say absolutely. Absolutely. We should all be doing something and being out there for the Filton, for the Prize Norton, for the Leicester, for the Quayside. There are so many of our loved ones, political prisoners, and we should be putting everything on the line, not just for them, but for Palestine, for the atrocities that we're seeing being committed every single day, even though we're supposed to be having a ceasefire at this moment. So yes, we need to go all out, and even with that thought that we had previously about having our unions as well included in anything that we do, having them write letters, whatever we can ask of them is vital and important at this point. We stand today at a point in British history, a controversial moment where resistance and saving lives has become terrorism. Next week, on Friday, 12th of June, at Woolwich Crown Court, Fatima Zainab, along with her three co-defendants now, they face being sentenced as terrorists. And so we need to do everything we can to put a stop to this. And I'd like to take this moment to reiterate what I've said from day one. And this is, Fatima Zainab, you make me proud. And it is an honor to stand by you on this path today and always.
Emma, do you want to add something? Or?
When Sukaina's talking, I can't help but think that it's Middle England that needs to get its head out of its arse. And that's why I feel like, as much as it pains me, because I hate this, and I hate speaking, and I hate being in front of a camera, but I felt like I needed to use what happened to me, which at the time was unusual, although now it's quite commonplace. Is that, yeah, so if it's the unions that we need to get on track, but everybody can do something. So it's like Alex used her photography skills to bring this to its attention. You know, Sukaina and I are as mothers pleading with, you know, whoever will listen to us. So yeah, I think you've just got to all think outside the box. All of us can do something. You know, I'm not a writer, don't believe in the MP system. It's just not working, is it? So, I don't know. Everyone can do something.
So we've got only 5 minutes left. I want to take one more question before I give our panel the chance to close with some last remarks. We have... All right, only because he just won his case, I'm going to give the last one to my friend Majid Freeman.
Everyone. I want to say a huge thank you to Alex for the amazing movie, amazing film, very, very emotional, very touching, and it just captured the movement over the last few years. And yes, we go through tests, but at the same time we build the whole community, and so many cases that we've seen in the movie that are around us today, and this is a movement, so thank you everyone. My question was for Zoe and Jordan, sorry, I have to make your name right. Since you've come out, what has been the biggest test for both of you when trying to go back to normality again? And what is it that we can do to not just help you, but the rest of the activists as well, whenever we see you guys, in terms of sending messages of keep up the amazing work? I'm sure that we welcome that. But apart from that, what else can we actually do to support you guys and other activists? Thank you.
I think the worst thing for me when I came out was being able to access social media again and seeing not only is it still happening, but it's gotten so much worse. And so for me, the thing that I would always want people to do is do as much as they can for the movement and create strong communities, trade unions, as much as you can to support Palestine, to end the genocide, and to stop the British state from clamping down on the last of the rights that we have left in this country.
Very largely the same thing. It hit me like a wall. You know, I had sort of whiplash with this social media suddenly coming back into my life, and I really struggled with a lot of elements of coming back out into the real world, as we would say. But again, there is only one way you can help us activists, is make sure that what we're doing isn't the end of the line, and that, you know, you can only say it's futile if we stop going. We need to keep pushing forward with it. Whenever I saw the Bryce Norton 5 come on the screen inside, you know, the news in prison, that just absolutely warmed my heart, that even despite us being arrested as terrorists, people are still willing to do this. You know, the state cannot keep people down whenever there's something so objectively moral that has to be done. You know, this job has to be done. So for me, forget about donating to any sort of fund to pay my prison team, or, you know, the letters are lovely to receive. I'm ashamed I never replied to them, but I think, you know, the movement just needs to have its wins, and that's how we all support each other.
What I'll do is I'll ask Emma, Sukaina, and Alex to say like 30 seconds as some final comments before we bring this to a close. Thank you.
So we've had a very inspiring evening, and I'm sure the question on everyone's mind now is, after the conversations that we've had, what can I do? What is my role? What can I do as a person, as an individual? And I'll give you your answer. Next week, Friday, 12th of June, Fatma, Zainab, Ellie, Lottie, and Sam face being sentenced as terrorists. I urge all of you to come down to court, outside Woolwich Crown Court, between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Stand in solidarity with us. Stand in solidarity with the activists. Make your voices heard. Bring yourselves, bring your friends, bring your family. If you live outside of London, arrange transport. If you cannot come, have someone else go on your behalf. Fund someone else to go. Just make sure that we have people out there holding the courts, the justice system, the government to account, so they know that they're being watched, they know that they're answerable for their actions, and that we're all outside waiting for them when they come out to answer to us as to where the British democracy is going.
Can't really better that. Other than bring one white Middle England person with you who's still got their endings.
Just thanks everyone for coming. Anyway, nice to see all your faces here.
Can we get one last standing ovation for Alex Grace, our director, the Filton families, who are also in the crowd, and also our cultural critics.